What's up, guys? Today we are going to be replacing the coils, spark plugs, and the wiring harness. So this is how we're going to do it. Stay tuned. So for the coils, I went with the Splitfire. For the R32 GTR, you're going to need this part number, the SFDIS001. It comes with 6 of the blue coils. And then for spark plugs, I went with the NGK BCPR7EIX, and their little part number is 5690. To get the spark plugs out, well, at least I assume they're the same size, but for this I'm using I'm using standard a 5/8. It fits it really well, but I think it's also 14 millimeter. If you have that, this is the spark plug socket that holds on to it. So let's get started. So to get started, I'm going to take off the strut tower brace just because I don't want it in the way. So these are 14 millimeter bolts. I'm trying to do this one-handed. We'll see. Yeah, that's not gonna... your boy's not strong enough. Alright, let me see if I can put this down somewhere. Now we're going to take the loosen up the bolts for the bracket that holds the coils in, and then we'll remove the wiring harness, which I've heard is very fragile over 25 years. So I bought a Warrington Specialties harness to replace it with, just in case we break it. Has better newer wiring and stuff too. So these are 12 millimeter bolts. Alright, so I got all the bolts undone that hold the bracket that holds the coils in. The last one there had that ground underneath the washer, so that's something to keep in mind. That's where it gets grounded out. So now we're gonna try to remove this. Probably gonna have to take this off. I guess that's the igniter. And there's another ground right there connected. So let's move on. So the igniter has these hex bolts, or Allen bolts, whatever you want to call them, and it's a number 4. So put that in there. You can loosen it up. And it's only held on to the valve cover with the one, and then it's got a regular, Phillips head holding the ground on. Okay, so one thing I noticed when I was trying to take the the ground off, as there's a nut on the back of it. So just keep that in mind. Alright, so I got the old wiring harness off, and I guess, you know, learn as you go. I didn't actually have to remove the ground off of this because it's held on by different wiring right here, which looks awfully old and frail too, so I gotta be real careful with it and make sure nothing breaks, because that would be a headache for sure. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the bolt back on. And this is what happens when you have stubby fingers and you try to deal with small little pieces of hardware, and it still won't even work. Alright, let's try something else. Let's see if this will work. Yeah, ingenuity, folks. Alright, now that everything, all those bolts and screws are removed, we can go ahead and try and start lifting out the coils. Let's move that little bracket out of the way. Alright. Let's move this out of the way. Be careful with that. Okay. Let's try and did I not loosen that? Wow. Okay. I still have a bolt. Getting ahead of myself, folks. Make sure it's all the way loose. Alright, now let's try and lift this thing out. There we go. And there's the spark plugs. Let's change some spark plugs. Okay. Spark plugs changed. Let's put the coils back on now.
I'm putting the couple bolts in there to get a head start.
So we got our new wiring harness compared to the old one. Yeah, looks pretty quality. So let's get that put in. Close up here. So that's the new coils and wiring harness. And then, yeah, just if you have a cover that goes on, you have to take that off first, obviously. And we'll put this back on. And then put your strut tower back on and you're good to go. After you're done, obviously you're going to want to start the car up and make sure that it runs. I would assume people would know that, obviously, because you can't drive your car if it doesn't start. So join me on this adventure. Something that I learned by watching Lab Japan, shout out to them, is in America you have to push the clutch in to start a manual transmission car. In Japanese cars you don't have to, just make sure it's not in gear. So let's see. Like it's running pretty smooth. Let's give it a little blip. Seems pretty responsive. Let's go take a listen to the exhaust. If I can get a rev in here for you guys. If I can get this camera sitting up. There we go. HKS Dragger exhaust. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe for more. See ya!